and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Feel the heat.
Just watch this. Let the pictures tell you everything.
It's all the way through.
Oh, what about that? That was really special. Those are the moments that supporters will remember.
Feel the excitement. That was delightful. Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat.
I love Adam Selman.
The girls are really thin. I think it looks very glamorous from the outside.
The life of a model in New York City.
There is such cool prints. So many.
You know, I'm buying this.
Look at me and all the selfie sort of thing. Honestly, I didn't really know that was actually a job. It just didn't occur to me.
Congratulations.
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
I apologize to the listeners and the viewers out there. There's some problems here in our production space, but just please concentrate and be patient with us. Our technical team is working around just to make sure that the programs and the picture quality is being improved. Some other lights are beginning to do some stuff, but I think what we are addressing today is very, very, very important. And I think maybe let's pick up on this item. Some young people feel we are too much into the past. We are harassing them with the past. They are now living in the 21st century. What would be your advice to the modern young person who thinks that you are out of fashion and whatever we are talking about is no longer relevant?
It's a pathetic case for those ones.
But when the mad one and the crazy one and the witch, when you are a king, they all belong to you.
It's true. But you see, the past is very critical. You cannot embark onto the journey without knowing where you are coming from. I think that's where we should start.
Yes, by it.
And for you to be able to understand where we are going, you should be informed of the past so that you are able to tackle what is going to happen in future. Practical example. There is this Mkize, there is this Pungane, there is this Maponga children. Absolutely. Let me tell you, if you've got children out of wedlock, do you know that you're going to have a serious problem? And that child is going to have a serious problem if that child dies, can be he or she dies. Remember, okay, maybe let's make a practical example. That child is referred as who unto the gods. When she or he arrives at the gates of heaven, for argument's sake. ID.
Name and sin.
Because there they work with certain laws of heaven. And those certain laws of heaven are those of ungaoni, do not dwell into adultery. And they know that there are certain formats of getting married. Now you have children out of wedlock. When they arrive, those children at the gate, without doing a certain ritual, mama,
to cleanse them,
and to present them to your gods as Abu Mama, you are making this child to be suffering for the rest of her life, and even if she has died or he has died,
problems continue.
At the end, where they arrive at the gates of the courts, when they look at the computer that side, they are not registered.
So what do they become, these kids who are?
These are the spirits that we found now lingering here on earth because they do not have the identity, whom we refer as the unholy spirits or ghosts that are lingering on earth.
Unidentified.
Unidentified. And what do? They become very angry they cause accidents, they kill people, they do, because they are nowhere. And they are not fetched where they are died, some of them. What happens to them? They become very angry. They destroy families. You'd end up in families having children who are drug addicts, who are nyaupe guys who are out of order, who are mentally disturbed, what we would refer as depression. It is because of these things. But if you understand rituals, that you have committed a crime against the gods, you'd know what to do.
Here you are as a woman. 3 children, 4 in some certain cases. Different
as an example.
Different surnames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The king is asking a question. How do you present these kids? How do you introduce these kids? And when they die, who do you say? In your own space, what would you say are the causes? And what are the possible solutions? We might end up again, Nkosi, sending this question back to you again. But I wanted to respond first to the normal, what we might now call what's happening in the community as we speak. And then maybe I might even push it back to you again and say.
And then what you do again, I'm sorry, just before that.
It's fine.
That boy or that girl died. You know that these people never paid dowry from you. You call somebody from their family to come and speak on behalf of this family. Are you not creating...
Create confusion.
Absolutely. At the graveside, hey, malume.
Hey. This is a very sensitive and a very critical topic, I must say, because when now a child, she's 25, 20, 30, 35, she's old. And when I then have to engage with that particular child, whether male or female, only to find when I say to her, you are the only one at home. I've got siblings. What do you mean siblings? I know my half sister and my half brother and my half whatever.
Half.
So half. Okay, first in the valenti bone bam diqala ndicela uba ndicacisele uba thina ngesintu asinabo half.
But and I wanted to be clear. When you are looking in your things,
what
you see one.
But uzathi no sibai 4. Dithi ngobani abanye abathathu ku half bani dithi okay yonakala apha ngoku ubizwa ngeyiphifani I'm called my ndingudlamini ungudlamini so ubona bangobani lo mnye ngusibani babiza ngezibongo ezahlukene but now we are all staying with our stepfather, like our father ongudlamini suthi ezibongo ezintathu zihlala apha kudlamini zonke. Then bendilapho ndithi mina navele nathutha nje kwazohlalwa gogo right ndiba ndisike ngoku ingxaki ke already ndiba ngoku uzebuze lapha ke ngoku uze apha kumwena ufuna.
I'm hearing you saying one of the biggest problems we have in modern days is families that come to dwell together and they bring various surnames. And these various are different spirits, various various energies into one house, and you end up burdening one man in this house, trying to carry the influences and the challenges of other spirits that are in the shadows. I just thought I'd cut short on that one.
Not only burdening the man, but causing confusion within the home.
The woman is responsible. I don't want us to let her go. Today, this is Women's Month. So I don't want us, we always put in cotton wool when we talk about women's things. And I know in social media, once you begin to speak strong about women, you're either, in my case, you're either viewed as homophobic, you are viewed as anti-women. You always immediately when you're asking for women.
But we're trying to fix the
society. Be responsible.
That's what we are trying to do now. We are fixing the society. We are not blaming them, but we are saying to them, do not dwell into
that.
By it.
Don't dwell into that. Now, I would like to also to bring another aspect that Mabonga got. In as much as we may say it's women, you may find that there are circumstances that had led to that decision to happen.
Yes.
So it may be a circumstance that doesn't only involve a woman, but it involves men. So hence the decision that the woman, remember, siziz kukugazi. We always want to protect our kids and amantonjo etu. So if it means protecting amantonjo, it means madiwazi sekule confusion yam, let it be then. Let me do that. But kengoku itlando, the understanding ubuchule bokuba ke ngonje badibazisa apha ndimisa njani ndithi.
I wanted to ask you that question specifically, Gogo Mvoko, in 2 or 3 capacities. As a woman, as a mother, and also as an indigenous spiritual person. Do you think our modern women understand or even appreciate or have a clue of what they are doing and the impact of the decisions that they make when it comes to them expressing the skukukazi instinct? Are you aware of the amount of stuff that you are putting under your skirt? Because I want to just maybe to lift up our heads and say, okay, here amanchonjo wonga gcwele ngaphansi lapha 4, 5, 6 of them, different synonyms. As a woman, vala yonke lento. From this conversation, do you think that the modern woman actually has an appreciation of the spiritual complexity of the paradox and the bombs that she has put underneath her skirt?
My answer to that would be bluntly to say, no, we don't understand as women. We don't have the spiritual understanding or even I would say the broader and the depth understanding of that.
Bayet, if a woman finds herself in this situation, can you give us a solution?
Remember there's this young woman who has been firstly impregnated by somebody without
the correct processes being
correct processes.
But
2, without the concern of the family, without the concern of the ancestors, without the concern of the gods, in total, invading the space. There's a child who came in without the agreement. Agreement meaning the rites of passages of marriage. Her gods are very angry for what she has done, because for her to be living on earth, there was a certain mission. She was brought for a cause. She has now
deviated.
Absolutely.
Violated the program.
They are very angry. There's this child who, as I said earlier on, bearing a curse because of that. This child grows up in an environment, put underneath. Another one comes, put underneath. Another. These are bombs that I'm talking about. Now, the different spirits are angry. And the more she becomes pregnant with different men or children out of wedlock, is the more these explosives explodes from the gods. Okay? Now these children, they grow up. How are you going to be reprimanding these children? Because the child asks you, oh, Babam. You know, I was watching a show yesterday on Moja Love. This young boy says, now this is the present, I'm talking about the present. This boy says, yesterday I was watching that show. There's this woman says, I was having an affair at school with this particular person, but I got married to this particular guy. Uthi lo mntwana bathi mina ngifana nobaba oso athi hayi angimazi lo muntu lo. I don't know that person. Meanwhile, she knew that she had an affair with this guy. This boy was raised in a different home. Different rituals. They've been undergoing rituals in that house. What happens to the gods of this boy? This boy now is a grown-up. He says, no, Mama, I think we must deal with this thing. Let's go for DNA. The DNA comes back and says, this is the father. The person who raised you is not your father. Now, these are problems that we are talking about. Now, you've got these children Wena mama, because of lama
bombs,
you want the child grows up and says, can you please prepare a ritual for me? You don't have a right to go lapha emsamo uyomkhulumela ngaliphi ngoba lo mntwana lo akazange abikwe kini kokuqala
kamakho
nakubo lapha abazange beze bazoclaim responsibility abazange bavumelane nani ukuthi no siyalobola or we are paying a damage. You don't have a right to do that, but when you've got a nerve,
go buy some peppers, make some calabash.
Are you not creating another sin on top of those explosives that you are having? The day this child wants to get married,
gets more complicated.
The
day they die.
The day they die also. But I just want to dwell on to the issue of marriage. Ushata as what?
Sorry.
This is the courts. They are angry. Ushata as what? As gabobani. Uzokutshela ukuthi no, let us invite abantu bakabobaba. Bangena ngaliphi lakithi?
Wrong sene. You've been lying all along.
You've been lying because now when they come, these people, they come as who? That's I said one time when somebody said, there's a child who's been impregnated by who and who. Can we go so big? No, I don't do that. I don't want to be part of the problem because that problem is going to be a curse to me because I've partaken into a wrong thing and that thing is going to stay with me for years. So I don't want to be party to this thing. You rather go and get people who don't understand culture and do that. Now, what happened was that these children, as they are growing up from the same problem, those people, they come, ngamanapkeni, Kimbis, I don't know what you call
bribing
they bring clothes for summer, they bring clothes for winter. They did not even pay a dowry here. How do you accept things from people that you know that they are owing you and your ancestors? They are bringing those things.
They're bribing you.
Yes, amalactogen or what you call them, these things. They are bringing them under what?
And if they are good enough to bring these things, why not do the right thing?
Absolutely.
And by doing the right thing does not mean marrying.
You can do the damage because it is not. Maybe you have lied as a man, as you said earlier on. Not always women are the ones that create the sin. It is us also because we lie to these women because we want to sleep with them. Because why? Ayupagile eating zongena ngishaya ngiphume. Kanti now meanwhile you are living something there. Then when you know definitely you know from deep down bottom of your heart that you were not going into that space because you wanted to marry. Then pay the damage of the child so that this child has a surname.
Clear direction.
So that when he or she dies, she knows or he knows where does he or she belongs to.
In the event, but I wanted to just pick up your mind on that. Paying the damages, yes. I wanted maybe to find out the correct ritual. Here is a mother who has 3-4 surnames in her house. What advice would you be giving to her?
I just want to pinpoint something, just to clear out something. Based on the question that you asked, Uguti, as women, do we understand the amount of damage we're doing or causing for our children? There are many instances whereby you find that many instances whereby umama or the female that has given birth to the child knows that this child is not of that particular parent or the particular father. But they will hide it and pretend ukuthi lo mntana wala ekhaya. I'm just echoing amazwi enkosi yami when it says now umntana uzokhula ngesibongo esingesona.
Wrong surname altogether.
That is why for once, but when the child now as an indigenous healer ngizothi mayikathi ngibuza ukuthi uba isibongo athi hayi ngumajola ngithi angimuzwa lo majola. Majola akusiwo isibongo sakho.
A live example, Nkosi yami. A cousin of mine lives in Zimbabwe. In the early 30s and 40s, and they come into South Africa. They changed their surname from the tribal name to a Swazi surname. The father, trying to be a South African, played the tricks, got a small little stand in Swaziland, and what is a Swazi man. The man dies, cut the long story short. They now go back to their stuff, they're stuck now. So they go to Bokoko.
In the 21st century.
21st century.
Thank you very much.
Go to Bokoko now, they are stuck. You know, because
in the 21st century.
Yes.
I want us to bring it back to that. In the 21st century. It's not like in the 21st century.
I can hear the whip.
In the 21st century.
Yes. You can be crazy and think that you don't care about this thing.
Absolutely.
But the day the chickens come home to roost, the day when the rubbish hits the fan, yeah, you're going to get down here and do the right thing. So boom, they find themselves face to face now with what's your name? My name is X.
Yes.
What's your surname? My surname is X. Where are you from? From Swaziland. No, I can't do this thing here. Take it to Swaziland. They get to Swaziland. You said you are who? No, Sankofa. Had no.
I forgot.
Say it again. What's your surname? The old man picked up a stick and hit them out of the house. Says, we don't do Shona things here. You lie that you are a Jamin. You are not a Jamin. Your grandmother is a Shoko. You are so and so. Your surname is so and so. And get out from here. So people many times they want to avoid what I like about our conversation.
Yes.
I know while we are talking, we're at a confluence between Christians and Africans. And because Christians think that what we are talking about
shortcuts,
yeah. Okay. What we are talking about,
there are no shortcuts in heaven.
Relevant.
There are no shortcuts in heaven.
But in churches, kids are getting pregnant.
Yes, it's
in
true.
churches, people have 3, 4, 5 children.
They said, no, we'll ask the Holy Spirit.
The blood of Jesus.
Do away with
the blood of Jesus will cover it.
You get delivered and then it's fine.
Absolutely.
And I think this conversation for me builds that kind of an audience where we are saying problems are found in the community way before we can even begin to isolate each other in terms of the Christian space. And what we are talking about now in terms of alignment of families, alignment of surnames, alignment of purity and cleanliness within the family. And I think if Christianity had done its part correctly to build purity and cleanliness, we would not be sitting here.
Absolutely.
We are talking about a country like South Africa, which says we are 60%, 70% Christians. But our problems are also 60 to 70% Christian. Divorce is 60 to 70% Christian. Crime is 60 to 70% Christian.
Now remember, in Christianity, in terms of ethics, divorce is not encourageable. What it means in our culture, in the 21st century again, we have to. No, it's very critical.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people misunderstand the past and the present. You cannot dwell into the present without revisiting
the past. By it.
We do not in our traditions encourage divorce. If your child has been raised in those certain confines or in the certain formats that I spoke about of Angone, that child will never dwell into divorce.
It's not a subject of conversation.
It's not a subject because it will never happen. Because why? This child would be raised based on certain ethics and conducts. Will never dwell into that. By it.
I think let's take a small little short break here. It's getting heated up. I want to pick the king's mind in the line again of building on the women's purity. And I would want maybe to have quite an interesting conversation around the rituals that happened around the palace and what was the involvement of women in the ancient times and how those rituals are duplicating themselves into the modern space. Some of you are Christians. You hear that Mary and Martha went to the grave early in the morning. To do what at the graveyard? They were going there to embalm the body of a dead Messiah. And then you look at your own African culture and you look at them and go, yuck, we don't do these traditions. The Bible is full of traditions. We'll be back right after the break.
Bye.
the heat.
Just watch this. Let the pictures tell you everything.
It's all the way through!
Oh, what about that? That was really special. Those are the moments that supporters will remember.
Feel the excitement. That was delightful. Feel the heat with StarSat.
Welcome back to your show. Here's Sankofa with King Bungane III, and together with us Gogo Manjola here on your program Sankofa. We are discussing African culture and how the things of the past constantly affect the present. Skuluma nani ni nama 21st centuries who think that the things of the past don't affect you. But if you don't take us seriously, your roots will always affect the quality of your fruit on the top side. We're here to be digging into these roots and finding our history and picking up those critical lessons and principles we can apply them in the 21st century. Because the role of women. I want us to move. I thought we'll take time actually going to the rituals of burial. I want us to do that. Yeah. Maybe we'll quickly on the value and the involvement of women in terms of ritual. Then I'll ask you the second question.
Now, women, as you remember, these are the people who raise these children. But again, with those certain formats that I spoke about, spirituality, not every person is called a woman. That person whom we refer as a woman, Tina, is somebody who has passed through these stages, and then she understands that in terms of rituals, these are the things that I undergo. For an example, a woman, she knows that she's not the one that goes and burn in paper for a child. It's somebody who bears that surname who does that. And that particular woman, she knows that, for an example, she does not pass in front of that door. She passes at the back of the door. She's the same woman who understands that when a conduct of a ritual has to be performed in a particular house, they sit outside at the door. They put it to understand this is where we look. When somebody, like for example a child, has to be prepared for a ritual, these are the women who understand that they have to go and fast and prepare themselves spiritually to be undergoing or conducting themselves into that particular space, because that space, it's a sacred space of rituals. When they continue again, if somebody has passed on, these are the women that they go and prepare that corpse into be cleansed. Now, a lot of people
in African culture, men don't prepare corpses.
No, they don't. But they are involved into the burial.
Yes, they dig the grave.
Absolutely, they dig the grave and they carry the corpse into the grave. But women, they know that they go and prepare that corpse. Now, that corpse, people think today in the 21st century again, they take washing rag, they take soap and go and wash a body at the mortuary. It does not happen that way.
How did it used to happen?
You know what it used to happen? There's a certain medicine that is being used to cleanse this person. Why they are cleansing that person? They are cleansing to prepare this person to go and join with his or her ancestors. What they do is that this person has been living on earth. We don't know at night, we don't know during his or her journeys, what is it that she or has done wrong or right. That's why we are now preparing this body to say, you are now going to be joining your ancestors. As you are going to be joining your ancestors, we need to clean you with a certain medicine. Then on Wednesday, what happened? The same ritual is going to be continued into slaughtering a goat to say to your ancestors, whatever she has done, we are asking for her passage to arrive, to be clean, and to arrive at your destination. Please, whatever wrong things, we don't know what is the amount of sin she or has committed. We are asking with this little token to say, please forgive us. This is on Wednesday. On Thursday or Friday, they will come back, the ancestors, to say, no, not la. And then a certain ritual would also, that's why it is women again who, if there's a problem, you would see them moaning, you would see them going into that particular problem. Men will then join. That's why in the tradition of Abangoni, Abantu Abangoni is the women. That's why you hear in Swaziland they will say abantwana bakagogo. I'm not referred to as abantwana bakamkhulu. That's why everything has to via through a woman. That's how important is a woman. If a child has to ask something, has to via through this particular person who is referred as a woman. If there's a conflict in the house, is the woman who will deal with that particular conflict and bring it down. If there are problems, she's the one who will intervene. That's why she becomes a pillar of unity, a pillar of strength in the family. She plays a very pivotal role in our family as a woman. Not every person who has those qualities does I refer to say there are those who are so-called women because they don't have those qualities. They've never undergone those. You see them with their conduct. You see them the way they behave. You see them the way they tackle issues. You would say she does not have qualities of dealing with this particular. But a person who's trained in that particular space, you'd see her intervening. You'd see her resolving a problem. She'll come back to you saying, don't worry about that. I have dealt with 1, 2, 3. If a father has an argument with a child, who intervenes? It's a woman.
The mother who stands
absolutely.
In. And when women reach that level of being seasoned, being
seasoned, I like that word, seasoned, absolutely.
Good quality.
Absolutely.
We will become the anchors of ancient knowledge. Because even spirituality, and healing.
Absolutely.
I mean, in ancient times, as far as I can remember, it was not a skill for men.
Absolutely.
It was more into the women's space. Because spiritually, women were actually the healers of the space. And again, maybe let me stretch it. I was enjoying the rituals of burial there, and the involvement of women into the whole space. And again, what makes this show unique is that we're building a bridge of information. Christianity comes on one side, and they're talking about the atonement and the blood of Jesus and what. And we actually find on an African space the whole system of atonement and killing of goats and asking for forgiveness, for a cleansing, for a path. It's actually as equally highlighted in the African culture as much as it was in the religious space. Over to you, Mama Jola. In your own space, you were trying to say something there before I cut you short.
Yes, Tamaku. I would like to tap into what Nkosam Bayete, what he's just mentioned about the role of a woman when it comes to rituals, whereby she cannot have the right to ukchisa impepo, then only a man can do that. I applaud that.
Correctly, the one with the surname.
One with the correct surname.
Correct surname.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I want to applaud that, and I'm very grateful that he mentioned that. Now, it clicked something to me as a lesson that I've learned within my spiritual journey, whereby you get families or you get situations whereby that male figure it's not there, and certain rituals have to be done. There's two aspects that I've seen that will happen. They would say then we're going to look for somebody who's got the same surname or shares the same surname. Then that male person will come and do stand in for that. So that is something that you find that when they come to us as traditional healers, we then advise that if you don't have that, can we look for a male person? And even that person, before they can even take that role, there's certain rituals that we have to do, because we don't know what the person has been doing.
Now they're bringing more problems.
So we need to untie him or cleanse him before we can now prepare him for this. Now, when we're now doing that preparation for him, we need to first now report to say, hey, we're bringing somebody here. with the same surname. Now we found him in the veld somewhere. We know what Then we call upon, we tried, even that's one out that the importance of understanding the past, will then help you to understand, because when you look into now, when you have to unpack the lineage of surnames, you may find that this person was from another house.
They are relatives.
They are relatives. Now, I want to also understand the other part whereby sometimes now, if we're talking of us as indigenous healers, most of us, you find that we are women, and there's men and women. But now the role that now I've observed having to play in some of the rituals. That's when now, when we go to the trainings, we are being equipped not in a negative way, but we've been given the responsibility and the authority of entering into certain spaces whereby we can be able to now to assist with aligning the paths and the journeys and the destinies of those certain individuals as lahlekileyo. Because abanye uthothi umuntu uyandinda nje akwazi nokuthi it doesn't even know the father, doesn't even know the mother, and it's not because it's for their fault, but they were dumped somewhere. Now, where do I start now saying okay, hambo ufuna ubaba wakho no mamako? We understand, because the child doesn't know anybody. Now that's when now we come in and tap in. So now, because when Nkosam would say that not everyone can speak to the ancestors, because you would call them, they won't even listen to you. Who are you? Who's calling us?
Who is sending you?
Do you understand? So now it helps to understand that concept from that angle, to say even let's not misuse that responsibility and that authority that is embedded in us. And it also gonna take me back to say, Ngosam, I would really wish us another day in Ngosam Uguti. I would like us to unpack what is Uktwasa, what is Ubungoma, what goes on in the training of Ubungoma.
It's very important.
I would like us to unpack that, because with the way things have happened and people trying to reach out to us as indigenous healers, some of us have led them astray because we don't understand the role that we have to play in particular in building homes, and also the fact that understanding it as not all about Ukshisa Impepo only, but it goes beyond that.
Absolutely.
It goes, because there's also another aspect, now you need to counsel this family. You need to understand what covenants were done before you can even say Ashisimbepo. Because when we understand. So it's very critical to understand those dynamics. I was just unpacking that side for those who would say, I want to make things right, but I don't even know where to start. There are leaders. That's why there's traditional leaders, there's indigenous healers. That one can say, okay, let me just go and find the information. How do I then go about? And I'm not opening up a gap now whereby the indigenous healer will start now saying, hey, hooray, now come, let's sort you out. To understand, but now to understand, this is spirituality. This is the people's lives. Because even you as Isangoma, if you're not doing according to what is supposed to be done for that person,
you end up in trouble. I think what I'm learning today, which is very, very critical, it is the presence of spirituality in our homes and the viability of those rituals in terms of building and establishing homes. That it's not just about physical unions. It's not just about doing things physically, but the impact that the physical things have on a spiritual realm, which many of us have come to undermine. And of critical importance, again, while we are celebrating on the Women's Month, the purity that is expected out of our women. Allow us to talk about women, because it's Women's Month. We'll talk about men on another Men's Month. But let's maybe address the purity of the fountain where the community is drinking from. That's true. The purity of the well.
And Nkosam, those who are saying we are still living in the past are the guilty ones, because they bear the sin. Instead of saying, how do I rectify the wrongs I've done in the past so that I am also acceptable into a spiritual clean space? You understand? They would always default it because they are the guilty ones. They know that they've committed these sins. You understand? Because if all of us would be able to go back and say, it's never too late, let me put it that way. It's never too late. For those children born out of wedlock, there are certain rituals that you have to conduct so that they assume a certain identity from the side of the mothers.
Yes. Until the owners come.
Until the owners come. You understand? Because this child, end of the day, he or she needs to have an identity so that she or he is able to progress in life. You understand? So if all of us could understand and learn and say we have gone wrong here,
we fix that problem.
We fix that problem. We're able to move forward.
When you come back after the break, we'll have Princess Lorna here, Princess talking to the King and finding the relationship between fathers and daughters as we are moving over into the 21st century, as you always want to talk about. Don't go away. We'll be back right after the break.
Feel the heat.
Just watch this. Let the pictures tell you everything.
It's all the way through.
Oh, what about that? That was really special. Those are the moments that supporters will remember.
Feel the excitement. That was delightful. Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat.
I love Adam Selman.
The girls are really thin. I think it looks very glamorous from the outside.
The life of a model in New York City.
There is such cool prints. So many.
You know, I'm buying this.
Look at me and all the selfie sort of thing. Honestly, I didn't really know that was actually a job. It just didn't occur to me.
Congratulations.
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
If there is a group of people that have always been misunderstood, are the Africans. And I think many of them, because we are writing our dissertations, we're sitting in the universities in the West, we think that actually African men don't have a relationship with their daughters. And I would want to dig up into the space of the princess here and the king. Right. In ancient times, what was the relationship between the king and his daughter? And as he was bringing up his daughter, who and what was he doing? What sort of, you hear me by it, you can hear me, I don't need to go further than that. And as he's talking, pick up some morsels from there, because you're going to respond to that.
Remember, there's this family who is brought up by certain ethics, by certain behaviors, principles of heaven. These are the spiritual ways of living. And these children, they would hear, they would see how things are done in this environment of the family. And sometimes, yes, when we are surrounding ourselves with the fire, the boys would go and sit with the elders to learn stories of the past. That today we are saying it is the past.
But it's the same thing, Amakatu. It's all stories.
Yeah. Why they share these stories? So that they inform these children not to commit the mistakes that were committed from the past.
Wow.
The mothers will do the same
with the girls.
With the girls on the other side. But somewhere they will then meet, and when they are sitting there, the father and the mother and some relatives would be there with the boys sharing stories, because they need to bond somewhere, somehow. And then a behavior of a father to the children, that is the one that counts, because out of that the children are able to respect, because the way you conduct yourself in front of these children, towards these children, is the one that will then define who are you as a parent. Out of that we are able to, we had a relationship in the past, we still have the relationship up to today, because that's why you'd hear the children of the royal house be it girls, be it boys, there is certain behavioral pattern that they have to adhere to. And that behavioral pattern, they would be taught how to conduct themselves, how to respect, how to speak with other people outside. Even in the royal house, how should they behave? Even outside, when they are there, they are always reminded to say, remember, you are who you are, and number two, you have to behave in this particular manner because you are representing this kingdom wherever you are. You understand? Your conduct is, even if you are angry, but anger does not prevail in the Angoni people. You leave things to God. If somebody has done wrong to you, you do not have to be engaging on the anger spirit against that person.
You end up killing with blood in your hands.
You deliver that person to the gods. These are the gods who will deal with this. You are the person who are here for a certain mission. This mission you have to accomplish. Whatever wrong things that have done, has been done towards you, you deliver them to the gods. The gods will deal with that particular person. You need not to. These are teachings that we always teach our children, to say you do not have a right to be fighting against this person. You have a right to do 1, 2, 3. The wrongs that she or he has committed, you don't have a right to judge. God will judge upon these children.
There you are. Back at you again.
Back to me again.
Yes.
I've been this little girl. I'm still this little girl. The truth hurts, and the truth will never settle in all of us. Even yourself, when it's time to be reprimanded, obviously it doesn't sit well. The truth of the matter that Daddy say, is we should stand our ground as royal women. We should stand our ground as African women, and we should not lie. Lies is the things that makes people become dear maker. I bear a child today. I don't tell the child who's the father, because the mother is the one who knows the father. I know how many men I've slept with, but at the end of the day, I lied to Mazibuko, I lied to Dlamini. I said, no, this child is yours, when the child is Mazibuko's. At the end of the day, when they are doing the rituals at the Dlamini, they include that child. But deep down, I know the truth. I know that that child is not the Dlamini, it's the Mazibuko. That child is not Molefe, it's Rapatlelo. But I keep on letting the child being raised with those rituals of the other side, where the ancestors are not favoring that child.
Backfire.
It will backfire at the end of the day. So the truth will never sit well with us.
Ngosiam, we have the last 5 or 10 minutes left. I wanted to maybe just give you a small little slot. You were already discussing the rights for funerals, and the rights of death, that on the first day, this is what happens, then on the second day, by the third day, the sacrifice is done, by Friday, then other crimes are found. I want maybe just to help us. How were the types of funerals? The funerals of the Angonis, those of the rivers, those of the mountains, and those of the air, those of the caves, those of the burning. Just take us through the whole. I know it might be quite a big question, but maybe as an orientation, we may have to actually get maybe a proper time to.
Maybe let me confine myself onto the residential funeral, where you'd find somebody like a father who has passed on. That person would be buried into the kraal.
In the kraal.
And then before you do that, as I said, Wednesday, you prepare certain rituals. But on that day of burial, that person, we would then decide, either we say, maybe you would say, when I die, I would want to relax, I want to sleep. I do not want to engage into the fight. But in most cases, the father of the house, he is then laid to rest into a sitting form.
They dig in the kraal.
Absolutely, they dig into the kraal. They make sure the legs, they go down, and then he sits somewhere, and then they cover him with the cattle skin, and then they give him the stick, and the spear to say, now you are not going to sleep. You are going to sit here and make sure that you protect your homestead. Now, after that, what they do, that family would then cut their hair. Cut their hair, and then they will then burn that particular... Everybody who's part of that family.
Okay.
Everything. And then what happens is that they wait for the next 3 months.
What do they do with the hair? I missed that part. They burn it.
They burn it, because now you are now assuming another identity. You are now in the mourning period for 3 months.
I'm trying to understand why our hair becomes your incense.
Because you remember the hair, if you remember the story of Solomon, you know, Samson. Yeah, you'd understand that's where your power is. With your nails, they cut everything.
Nails,
everything.
And hair. Yeah, one big place.
Absolutely.
Put it together.
Absolutely.
Here, and then you burn it.
Absolutely. Then you know now you are in the mourning period. There are certain rituals, laws that you are taught to say in this particular space. You do not sleep with your wife, for example, if you are married.
For how many months?
For 3 months.
For 3 months.
Absolutely. You do not. You as ladies or young girls or young boys, you do not go outside at night. You know, when the sun is about to set, you must always be at home. You must be, you know, in the morning period. You must don't, you know, you should not engage into environments where there are a lot of people.
No shouting,
no shouting.
Screaming.
Absolutely. Now, when you finish the 3 months again, you meet.
As a family.
As a family. There's a ritual where they are going to be conducting. What they do, all of you are taken into the river with a certain medicine again. And that medicine is a cleansing medicine. All of you are going to be cut again the hair.
3 months later.
Absolutely. And that hair is going to be burned and thrown into the river. And then you'll be washing with this particular medicine into the river. And then you wash with clean water to cleanse yourself. Now, it starts with the person who is number one in the family until as
what do you call that ritual?
Absolutely. Now you are now going to be allowed to mingle with everybody
after the 3 months.
Absolutely, after the 3 months. Now the hair that you are going to be growing, you are going to be growing clean hair. The hair that is not connected with any mourning, any death.
Okay.
You are a new person.
Okay.
And then all of us are then allowed to engage in whatever spaces that we do. But a wife or a husband
must continue.
They will continue mourning for the next 1 year.
1 year.
You understand? And then what they do, if a man has passed on, a woman, there are certain medicine that will be given to her to cleanse so that they remove the shadow of that particular husband who has passed on.
How dangerous to sleep with a man's wife who has just died before she finishes the moment of mourning, or that she's cleansed?
You are going to be cursed the rest of your life. There is no medicine that can cleanse that.
Yeah.
It's true. Because this person knows that you are entering into the space of his wife. That's why they end up, you'd see in the 21st century again, people that you grew up in the environment, they were well okay, they were successful. You wonder what happened to this person. Why is this person so poor, so suffering, or whatever, you know, like a person is cursed. You find male people who find themselves in that particular environment. Because itunes lo muntu ongaseko, you cannot remove it. There's no medicine that when a nyanga is lying to you, say no, I can cleanse this, is lying to you.
It's lying.
That's why you have to make sure that you do not
stay away
absolutely
from women who are in moments of mourning.
In mourning, until they finish a certain ritual, until they then release them into becoming involved with other men.
Manje what these days bela usafaka ingubo ngapha mnkosi yami uthumela ama message ngapha ukuthi asibonane later.
They don't know. That's why these are the ignorant people. One day I was in another situation about the 21st century. One guy said, you know, we found him fighting with another guy. He was quiet. This guy was inciting this guy. This guy was quiet. We said to him, but why? You know, I was very young at that time. I think it was late 70s. We asked him, but why are you not responding to this man? This man said, I'll never forget. what that man said. He said to me, I quote him, you know, to us as young boys, this man has demonstrated his level of understanding, his level of knowledge. If I am going to be engaging with him, I'm going to reduce myself to his level.
I can't go down there.
I can't go down. What I need to do, I need to apologize to him so that I assist this man to be at a higher level. I'm going to submit myself to him.
And let it go.
And say, no, I'm sorry, I was the wrong one.
Because in one sentence exactly, what is the message to the women in the 21st century? One sentence.
To the women in the 21st century, I'll say, let's be like a Raspa in the Bible on 2 Samuel, to say, no matter what comes our way, we should stand still. Because when you stand still, if you plant a tree and you move the tree doesn't receive water, meaning the tree doesn't receive the blessings. So we must stand still.
Trees don't move. Get established.
Get established.
Never, mama, get yourself founded. In one sentence, your message to the women in the 21st century.
I would say to our mothers, go back to the origins, do the right thing. You are the pillar of our families. You are the ones that are teaching our children. Remember, if a child grows up without proper teachings, without proper behavioral patterns, that child would be a cursed child in future. So you are the one that is holding the key to mold this particular child.
Wow. Here on your program, Sankofa, my gift to every female, every woman, our grandmothers and our sisters is a gift of purity, a gift of cleanliness, a gift of truth. If there is anything you can give this world, it is your clean spirit. And make sure that you, underneath your skirt, underneath your wings, only truth can be found there. Absolutely. For you are the custodians of the community. Let's be founded and let us be solid. Your host, Maponga J. Garamboko Garambashamba Uda Chiranavana Vanji. Makumba Manang Mizende Shano Tizu Anatanga Garama Matanda no Rachiwich Bubano and Manga. Varpeduano Tampana Jum Tambo Parware. Until we see you again, we are meeting so say. I'm out of here. Don't do what I wouldn't do. If you do it, do it better.